What's up guys, I'm Justin, fellow first timer and host of Horizon Hobby's First Time RC series, where I share tips and reviews from a first timer's perspective. And if you're new to RC, you're in the right place. This is where it all starts. Not just driving, not just unboxing. We're gonna build it, learn it, customize it, and send it. Welcome to the Arrma Mojave Grom Bash and Build Camp. Before we start building, let's talk about Arrma. Arrma is under the Horizon Hobby umbrella and is focused on making RC cars and trucks for action. I'm talking speed, dirt, jumps, pavement, crashes, saves, and just flat out full send fun. Arrma vehicles are built tough. Think stunt doubles on wheels. The idea is simple: make it fast, make it durable, and make it fun. Arrma has always made it easy to get out there and start driving. And their RTR vehicles are just that. Charge the battery, pull the trigger, and get out there. But the Mojave Grom RTA kit is a little different. This is hands-on, this is learning how the vehicle goes together, and this is building a real connection to your vehicle before you even pull the trigger. Now, since we're talking about Arrma, I should probably explain bashing. Bashing is the fun side of RC where there aren't really any rules. It's driving anywhere, hitting jumps, sliding through dirt, ripping across pavement, exploring new terrain, laughing, crashing, fixing it, and getting right back out there for another run. It's less about laps, more about toughness, durability, and just having a good time. Now, compare that to racing. Racing is more structured. You're usually on a track with lanes, other drivers, focusing on consistency, repeatability, and fast lap time. The goal is to be fast, smooth, precise, and consistent. Small changes can make a big difference in racing. Tire choice, suspension setup, weight balance, the lane that you're driving in, all of that makes a big difference. Then there's crawling. Crawling is a bit slower and more technical. You're driving over rocks, roots, steep climbs, and rough obstacles where control matters more than speed. Instead of trying to go fast, you're carefully picking lines, using throttle control, and working your way through tough terrain. Each style gives you something a little different. Racing challenges your precision and reaction time, crawling challenges your patience and control, and bashing gives you the freedom to mix it all together and just have fun. Now, if you're new to RC, you've probably seen a ton of different RC vehicles. Some are toy grade and some are hobby grade. And honestly, toy grade RC is a great place to get started. It's simple, easy to use, and made for quick casual fun. But hobby grade takes that a step further. And that's the big difference. With hobby grade, when something breaks, the party's not over. You can replace parts, you can upgrade components, you can fine-tune how the vehicle drives, and as you learn more, you keep getting more out of the experience. And that's what makes this a hobby. You're not just driving the vehicle, you're learning it, improving it, and making it your own. So why build a kit instead of driving an RTR? Because building is where the understanding begins. When you build the Mojave Grom RTA kit, you'll start to learn how everything works together. You'll see how the power moves through the drivetrain, how the steering comes together. You'll understand how suspension absorbs impacts, handles rough terrain, and keeps the truck moving forward. Every step connects you more to the car. And when it finally runs, you're not just driving a truck, you're driving something you built. And that first trigger pull feels different because you've earned it. And it's not just about how it performs, it's also about how it looks. The clear body and included decals give you the freedom to create your own design. You choose the colors, you choose the style, you choose the identity. You can keep it clean, go wild, make it look like a real desert truck, or go in a completely different direction than everybody else. And that's one of the coolest parts of hobby grade RC. Two people can start with the same kit and end up with two totally different trucks. And when you're done, it's not just a Mojave Grom, it's your build, your design, your creation. Over this next series of videos, we're gonna guide you step by step through this entire build. Whether you're brand new to RC or just looking to get deeper into the hobby, this kit is a great way to learn how everything works. We're going to build it, we're going to learn it, we're going to make it our own, and once it's ready, we're gonna send it. So now that we've set the foundation, I'm gonna hand it over to Chris Dowdy to start turning screws and walk you through this build. In the meantime, I'm gonna figure out what color to make this one.
Let's build this Mojave Grom RTR. The first important thing to do, make sure you've got a good clean work area to work on. Then we're going to open the box. With the box open, we're going to put all the bags to one side to make sure we've got all the contents available to us. keeping everything secure. We want to make sure we keep all of the bags on the table. Once the box is empty, we can put that to one side. The first bag to reference is the instruction manual, documentation and decals bag. Let's just open this bag up here now. All we need from this bag for now is the assembly instruction manual. We can put the rest of the decals and how to paint instructions to one side. We'll use those a little bit later in this video. We've put a lot of time into the instruction manual. We've tried to be as detailed as possible for every single step of this build, but this video is here to help you bring this instruction manual to life. There's some things you can't explain with just pictures and numbers, and I'll try and help to explain them with some words and some descriptions. Going by the instruction manual, the first bag we go to is obviously bag number 1, and in here we have all of the tools, charger, battery and all that good stuff. If you do want to speed run this build, then feel free to go and put your battery on charge right now. It'll take about an hour to charge, but we're going to take our time with this build anyway, so put this to one side. We'll charge the battery a little bit later. Bag number 2 is the first bag we start with the assembly process. This is the main chassis. I'm just going to open this bag now. Just be cautious when you're emptying the parts out of the bag. Make sure that everything is out of the bag onto your flat work surface. It's going to help you out a lot. Okay, I'm going to open the sub bags now. So the first step is we're going to put the foam pads into the base of the chassis. There is a thick and a thin foam. The thick foam goes to the inside near the center tunnel of the driveline, and the thinner pad goes to the outside. There are grooves in the chassis which help you to align these. Always tricky to get it peeled off. And then the thinner foam to the outside of the chassis. Stick that in there. On to step number 2, we have the hook and loop battery strap. We're going to be threading it into the front side of the chassis to the rear side, looping back on itself. The chassis can be orientated by seeing the angled front shock tower as the front and the straight shock tower is at the rear. To thread this through the front buckle, it is important to keep the orientation of the battery strap the right way around. So it is furry side downwards as we thread it through the first part, front buckle of the chassis, pulling it through here, then to the back part of the chassis, sliding it to the rear, and it may be useful to put a tool in there to help you to get the rear upwards, but I've managed to do that pretty well. Now I'm going to use a pull and a push method to drag it back through until the front buckle is close to the front of the chassis. Now we're going to thread in the battery spacer block. I'm going to push through the unused foam piece here. So it's basically with a large side downwards, thread it onto the battery strap like so. And then we're going to complete that battery loop there by threading into the front buckle, looping back on itself and just securing it down like this. That will stay secured in the chassis for the majority of the build. Bag number 3 is next. I'm going to open this bag. I'm going to lay the contents onto the table, and there's some sub bags here to open up as well. There is a bag containing the gears, front input gear, rear input gear and the spur gear, and then the bag containing the pins, bearings and drive cup and O-rings. This contains 2 very small pins. Be very cautious opening this bag. Make sure you do it over a surface where you will keep all of your parts secure. Empty them out here. The important thing to note with this step is that one of the 4 bearings is larger than the rest. The large bearing is the one we're going to use in step number 5. Find the input gear with the hex pattern shape around the outside and insert the large bearing onto that input gear. Then we're going to insert the full hex bar drive shaft into this input gear, making sure we align the pin with the pin slot. And then once that's slotted in, we're good to go to the next step. The next step is to install the spur gear. It does only fit in one orientation. It needs to line up with the hex pattern on that rear input gear. So slide the spur gear down the shaft, and if it locks in, you're good to go. If it won't lock in, then flip the orientation of the spur gear over and it will lock into that hex pattern. Now we're going to align the slot of the input gear with the hole in the hex bar drive shaft and get a pin and put it through this assembly. This bit can be a little bit tricky, so take your time to get the alignment right. You will drop the pin multiple times, but that is not a bad thing. It happens to everybody. Now just line up the hole and the slot and push the pin through both of these together and make sure the pin is evenly spaced between the two. Then we put one of the 3 remaining equal bearing sizes over the drive shaft and it will capture that pin. So that is all fully captured, and then one of the O-rings then goes over the main drive shaft and into the groove to keep everything captured and secure. Just use a bit of time just to manipulate that O-ring into the groove of the input gear. It can be a little bit tricky. And there we go, that's that seated there. This makes sure the assembly is fully complete. It no longer is loose. The input gear is locked onto the shaft. If you do lose the pin during assembly, don't worry, the vehicle will still work perfectly fine with the pin. The pin just locks it to make sure it stays together when the drive shaft is out of the vehicle. Step number 7 requires a bit of pre-assembly. So what we need to do, we need to get some stuff onto the main drive shaft to allow us to install the front input gear and then install the stuff that is on the drive shaft back into the input gear. So in order, we're going to install the O-ring first, let it slide down the shaft, and then we're going to install a bearing onto the shaft. These will just sit there chilling out, so that's nothing to worry about for now. We are now going to install the input gear for the front. So we're going to install the front input gear, the longer of the 2. One bearing goes over all the way to the end, and the spacer sleeve then goes over there as well. In a similar method to installing the rear, we're going to look for the hole on the drive shaft and line that up with the hole slot on the input gear. Push that all the way down the shaft. Then we're going to use our pin just to align it with the hole slot. Put the pin through carefully, and then that's all lined up nicely. And now we have the bearing and the O-ring on the shaft already, which allows us to put it over the input gear. This was built because it's too big to fit over the front input gear. So we then assemble it as we did with the rear side. Again, manipulating that O-ring just to make it go into the slot. That's complete. Front and rear are locked in place. The center drive shaft is complete. All we need to do then is drop it into the main chassis. The spur gear is to the back side of the vehicle. You'll see the space available. It drops down from the top, lining it up and just pushing it down into the slots. That should spin freely, and you've completed step number 9. Moving on to bag number 4. We're going to open this bag. As always, emptying the contents of the bag carefully. What I would recommend you do is keep this motor away from any screws or anything metal. It is a magnetic motor. I wouldn't want a grub screw or something being sucked into the motor and getting stuck in there. So I'm going to put this to one side for now, and then opening the remaining bags. Careful opening the motor plate and pinion bag. There is a very tiny set screw in here which we'll use to secure the motor. Step number 10, we're installing the heatsink and the motor plate. So take the heatsink, orientate the motor as it's shown in the instruction manual, and then we're going to clip the heatsink on the side of the motor like so. We're going to take the motor plate and look at the front of the motor plate to look for the G notification, because as explained in the manual, G needs to be the one that is displayed forwards to make sure the correct mesh is for the included pinion. Now what I like to do, I like to thread the screw through the hole first of all, look for the top hole on the motor, line it up and screw that in like so. And then I'm going to install the lower screw. Again, always keep the motor away from any other screws that could be sucked in with the magnetic motor. Once you've happily got both screws installed, just snug these down. These don't need to be cranked tight. In fact, none of the screws in this vehicle need to be completely cranked up tight, but just snug them down. You'll just feel a nice bite to them. Now on to step number 11. What I'd like to do now, using the 1.5mm Allen key, is get this set screw pre-installed into the pinion. Just wind it in like so. It does have thread lock pre-installed on this set screw. And then what you need to do, you need to have the set screw aligned with the flat of the motor shaft. You'll see a flat on the motor shaft, have that pointing to one side, drop the pinion down with that aligned. And what I would recommend doing is only just barely snug the pinion down, because we need to make sure that it is aligned with the spur gear, and we'll do that in a second. So that's the pinion just nicely snugged onto the motor, and now we're going to go to step number 12 to install the motor in the chassis. With the heatsink orientated vertically and the screws aligned vertically as well, push the heatsink all the way to the front side of the motor. Don't have it hanging too far backwards, and then slot it downwards in the chassis slots here. With the motor installed in the slots in the chassis, I can see that the gear mesh here isn't quite aligned up, so I'm going to take that pinion back out, that grub screw just a little bit, move the pinion back in line with the spur gear to allow me to get maximum tooth overlap on this pinion and spur gear. So just bring the pinion a little bit further to the rear of the car, making sure we've got a good overlap between it. And this is where we can now snug down that pinion. Again, just a little bit of pressure just to make sure it's snugged down. It does have thread lock on that set screw already, so we should be good to go. Now on to bag number 5. This is where we install the top deck, so let's have a look for bag number 5. Here we go, bag number 5. Just open up the bag, pour out the contents, and then there'll be some sub bags here which you want to open up, and just be careful we keep parts all on the table where we're working. And then we've got a bunch of screws and pins which we'll be using. Black on black's probably not the best idea, but it is what it is. It's a good idea to separate these screws so you can easily find them during the build. So in this bag here there are 2 long screw pins, a bunch of regular screws, and some pin shafts which will be the axles for the steering. To install the steering, we need to basically post the steering drag link through the center transmission tunnel. On the right side of the car we have the longer steering bell crank, the one with the extension for the servo. So we're going to put that in place in the vehicle first. Then we're going to send through the ARRMA plate. It goes with the sweep downwards, post it through the transmission tunnel, line this up with the middle forward slot, and then we're going to put the left side bell crank into place now. These will just be held in place loosely, and then we'll be screwing them together in the next step. Now I'm going to grab the long screw pins using the 2mm driver and just post down through the steering bell crank, lining up with the ARRMA plate, and then screwing downwards. Again, this is something where you don't need a lot of pressure just to crank down. Just snug that screw down and then you'll feel it bite, and then you're good to go with that side. Probably a little too tight there. I'm just going to back it out a fraction. We don't want to pinch this part. We want to keep this nice and free, and then do the same with the opposite side screw, going through the bell crank, lining up with the drag link and locking in place. I'd probably just snug it down and then back it off a quarter of a turn. These aren't load bearing screws, these are only used for rotation. Now I'm going to take 2 silver pins and put these through the top of the steering bell cranks down into the holes in the chassis, and these will be the axis of rotation for our steering mechanism. And then the next pin goes in the other side. That completes step 13 and 14. Now on to step 15. We're going to install the top deck. The larger piece goes towards the back, that covers the spur gear and pinion, and the front piece covers the steering plate. So off of this downwards, it will slot into place over the motor retaining plate, and also it needs to capture the steering posts as well. So you might need some manipulation of these steering posts to encourage them into the slots in the top deck. Use the 2mm driver just to poke them forwards and backwards to manipulate them into place. Push that down, should lock into place, and then the same goes for the rear. Just keep maneuvering the top deck down until it kind of falls into place, and then it'll fall down and clip in. Okay, good to go, seated down there. Now we're going to install the 10 top deck screws. It doesn't really matter what order you do them in, but I will go from front to back. To keep things moving along, I'm going to use a power driver just to get this done as quickly as possible. If ever you do use a power driver, just be careful not to over torque any of the screws. I will just go back and check everything by hand because I just never really crank them down with the power driver. The screw heads should sit flush with the top deck, so if anything's sticking too far out, you know that one is definitely not tight enough. That completes step number 15.